All right, so thank you everyone for coming today. I'll give you a quick intro, right? My name is Jared Vale, and I'm the Northeast Board Member Representative and the Vice President of the United States Handball Association. I'm on the One Wall Committee. I'm on a bunch of other committees for the USHA. I'm also the ICHA board member. I work a lot with Cesar Sala. Everyone knows the difference, right? USHA is national. The ICHA is here in the city with the kids. So anybody, Paulie, that wants to help with the kids, we can use your help. And volunteers, right, are needed. And that goes into this referee discussion. So what we're going to do here today is we have a referee clinic, right? A referee clinic is not to talk about all of the details of the rules, right? What we are going to do, though, which is a first time ever, thank you, Justin Rodriguez, is we're going to have a rules discussion with video, thanks to Phil, 10's Finest, and Johnny, NYC Handball 4K, and I've seen some of the stuff that they've done, and this is instrumental in bringing people knowledge of the rules and understanding that there are judgment calls and not everyone sees things the same way. So even if you think you're right, you're not always right. Because I always think I'm right, and my wife tells me I'm not right, and she's right, right? So let's just be square with that. So the first thing that I want to talk about, did everybody get one? I gave everybody one of these, right? What does it say?
One wall.
What does it say? Official what? What doesn't it say?
Big ball or small ball.
Right. Everybody says, oh, there's a big ball rule, there's a small ball rule, but they're following small ball rules. One wall rules are one wall rules. And in this book, if there's a difference of rules, which is only like one, it'll say for small ball or for big ball. Does anyone know what that rule is? Stop it, Justin. No. Because the reality is in big ball it's supposed to happen, and I'll get into that a little. Anybody else? What's the one difference between big ball and small ball?
Safety hinders?
Small ball,
Gloves.
you have to wear gloves in small ball. And that's what it says in here. That's the only difference, right? Big ball, you have to have gloves available if it's going to get wet. But the only difference is, so everybody says that. So the reality is, right, in small ball, the refs call the block. In big ball, they're supposed to call the block. But what happened over time, because the New York City handball contingency always called their own blocks, the USHA didn't have this rule, and they made an adjustment to the rules and the avoidable hinder under distraction, which talks about talking on a shot, right? And we can go into those details later. But in short, if you make a call, whether it's block out or anything, right, play stops, and that talking is considered concurrence for with the referee request for concurrence. And if the referee deems that you were accurate in whatever you said, whether it was block, short, play will be replayed. If not, you get penalized, and that's to the tune of either an out or a point, depending on where you are on the receiver or the server, right? So everybody here goes to tournaments, and this is a very silly question, right? How many of you, when you go to play, want a good referee, right? How many of you look around like, oh, I want Larry. I don't want this guy. I don't want that guy, right? How many of you, and think about that, this is a little introspective, when they're asking for a linesman, how many of you turn away and walk the other way or say, and when you're playing, how many of you on the camera are like, well, I need some linesmen over here, right? Think about that next time you're on the court, right? Because to run a tournament, everybody wants a fair and a good referee that's knowledgeable in the rules, and everybody wants linesmen that are doing their best. So what does it take to be a good referee? What's the main two? The referee has two main duties. Does anybody know what they are? I can't hear you. No. Well, making calls, right, is absolutely one of their duties. But outside of making calls, and that goes to part of making calls, the referee is to facilitate, number one, safety. Number two is fairness, right? And fairness, is very important, and there are rules within the rules that allow the referee to do certain things, such as taking back a call, calling a dead ball if they are just not sure what the right call is, to be fair. And sometimes players don't like that, and just know, right, when you're reffing, that 50% of the players on the court are always not going to like you, no matter what. It's usually the team that loses, right? Maybe, maybe not. But I say that to say, as a referee, it's very important not to get emotionally involved in the game. And that was the hardest thing for me to do. I'd be reffing Timbo and Gio, right? And they're arguing with me, and I'm getting back at them. This is years ago. And then Albert Apuzzi would come to me and he would tell me, Jared, you have to keep an even keel. You're not supposed to insert yourself into the game. You're not supposed to argue with the players. That's one of the hardest things to do. So before I get in a game, I breathe. I'm like, all right, no matter what you do, speak in an even tone. You don't want to get in the players' heads. You want them to have a fair chance of winning while they're not thinking about you, right? And they can focus on their opponent. So one of the takeaways today is just to remember that, right, is try to go in there. You're not a dictator. You're not executioner. Go in there and try to facilitate a good atmosphere, right? So rules. Why are rules so important, right? Rules are important. I have a couple of examples, but why do I know the rules, right? I played handball for St. Francis Prep, right? We went and we had matches against other schools, right? And you couldn't go to that school and then play and just say, and not have some set of written rules to go by, right? You got 2 shorts isn't out, 2 longs isn't out. These are some of the general things. But as rules, as play progresses, there's a lot of rules that come into play that, again, people tell me, well, that's not how we play here. Has anyone ever heard that? Yeah, what is that, man? That's not how we play here. When I go to play baseball at a couple of different parks, there's always 3 balls, there's always 4 strikes, right? I go to play handball at a park, and the score is 20-20, and I serve the ball, and it hits the long line and pops up, and the guy says, oh, you can't win the game that way. We don't play that way here. I'm like, show me. Show me. This rule book did not happen overnight. Somebody didn't come up and just say, okay, these are all the rules we have to go by. How did this rule book happen? This rule book happened by putting down the basic framework of the rules, right? The size of the court, number of shorts, and then since like the 1940s, as time went on and incidents happened, they said, we need to make a rule that that we can apply to this situation. So some people, us, the newer generation, are like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Well, they didn't see the 1,000 times that this happened in the 60 different national tournaments that the USHA held. And so there's actually a game committee on the USHA that I sit on that has 10 people that we go over the rules every year. These rules, and this is a rule book, if anybody wants one, I gave everybody here one. You can message me on Facebook and I'll get one to you. Anybody out there that's going to be watching this later. But online at ushandball.org is the rule book. And I like to use that one because you can search and find in page if you're looking for a certain rule. And that rule book has changes every year. And if you look at it, it'll say new rules are in green. So you'll be able to distinguish what changes were made. And I have this every year. I have certain people out there without naming names. You don't listen to us. You don't change the rules. These rules don't make any sense. I'll always listen. If you want to change the rules or if you have any suggestions, you can send me your suggestion. You got to send it like officially in writing. You can't just tell me, expect me to write it out and then present it as well and do all the work for you. You could call me, we could have a discussion, but in January, I'm going to every January, like the third week, I go to the USHA board meeting. It's held in Tucson, Arizona. For about 20 hours, we sit around the table. It's not my favorite thing. It can be a little boring, but one of the sessions is about the rules and what rules need to be amended, adjusted, and why. And we're always open to listening. So anybody out there that wants to make any suggestions, changes, please. That's one of the reasons we were here today. So for those of you who had all of these ideas that didn't come, call me, right? My lines are always open. So we talked about who wants a good ref, right? Knowing the rules is very important. So I study these rules. I carry this rule. And I always, when a player comes to make a protest or appeal, you have to be able to point out where the rules are and what the rule is. And we're going to go over some examples later, but just because you follow one rule and you point out, hey, the rule says this, doesn't mean that you follow that rule and it's okay if you're breaking another rule. So sometimes when a play happens, you have to look at 2 or 3 rules in the scenario to come up with the correct call on the play, right? And I know that Johnny made some videos about the person stepping in from the side. Did anybody see that video? Right? And then the player getting hit in the back with the ball. And the guy said, well, the rules say that I could come in after it passes the straddle line. Sure it does. But the rules say when you step in and you block a guy's shot, that's an avoidable hinder. It doesn't negate the rule that you just broke. So as a ref, you need to know how to implement multiple rules to come out to the correct conclusion. So fair, firm, calm, focused, right? I'm guilty of it all the time. Linesmen are guilty of it all the time. They're on their phone, they're doing this, they're in a big play, players get ticked off, and I don't blame them. Going in as a referee, right? The referee, what is the referee's duties? When you come in to start a match, something that I always like to do, I bring the 2 players to the middle, right? Or the 4 players. I flip the coin to see who's gonna get the coin toss. If it's small ball, I'm checking their gloves to make sure they're dry, right? We had a situation at the small ball nationals this year where the ref didn't do that. The players started with soaking wet gloves. You know what happens when you hit a small ball with a wet glove? Whew, right? The play was up 6-0. There's a word for that, right? It's called cheating, right? It's called cheating, right? And I don't ever expect anyone to cheat. And as a ref, I don't cheat. And that's one of the words I hate when players say it, but I tune it out. Yo, you're cheating me. You're cheating me. Stop cheating me. Yo, if you think that I woke up in the morning to come to cheat you out of your game, you're out of your mind, right? We're always going to get calls wrong. Did anybody watch the boxing this weekend? Anybody think that, I don't think so, but there are a lot of people that think that Serrano got cheated, right? Right? That was a crazy fight. People are always going to see it different ways. Integrity, right? That's the other thing that you mentioned, right? Safety, fairness, integrity of the game. There are guys out there, and that there are players, and you as a player, when you're playing, need to take this into consideration as well about what the referee is like. you can't go into the game thinking that the ref is just there to cheat you, right? You have a responsibility as a player, you guys out there on the camera, to adhere to the rules, have a certain code of conduct out there, which we'll get into because that's one of the big rules, right, is code of conduct. So, and as a referee and as a player, right, the player needs to know their referee. I'm not going to call the game the same way Larry's going to call the game. I'm not going to call it the same way Albert Apuzzi calls the game. One of the rules is, no physical contact, right? Albert Apuzzi and we talk rules all the time. Calls me every day. Jared, I have an idea. Jared, here's a rule, and we'll go over it. But we'll have a discussion about when there's contact. And my acceptance of the level of contact is a lot less than Albert's. Albert thinks you should be able to have a little more contact. Where he draws the line and where I draw the line is always subject to judgment and each play, but we'll look at plays and he'll be like, no, that was good. I'm like, no way. What are you talking about? So as a player, the players have to know the ref. As a ref, you have to know the player. And I love to give this example, and I hope nobody takes this the wrong way. Saul and Tyree, right? I ref their games exactly opposite. Tyree, I never call a block. Unless I see his swing and he kind of looks at me. Now I'm giving you the block, right? Saul, he wants almost every block. He wants the play to reset. And if it's a block, I'm calling the block, right? Tyree wants the game to go. So knowing those players and having been there for a long time, it's important to call the game to keep the flow going, because one of the aspects that the referee is in charge of is the cadence of the game, right? So the cadence of the game, how does that go, right? So the referee goes through the pregame duties, check the gloves, gets everybody set, gets their scorekeeper ready if there's another scorekeeper, and has their linesmen and make sure everybody's ready, and then says, play ball, and calls the score, 0 serving 0. When there's a short or a long, whatever words you want to use, I just follow the same pattern, cadence, timing. 0 serving 0. Short, second serve. And the players get into a cadence and they know. Because we know, right, that the player can't serve until the score is called. And the receiving player needs to be ready and hear that second serve so they know now it's coming. So the referee establishes the pace of the game with that, right? And it doesn't mean, the different players, and you have to know your players, and Joe Kaplan hates playing me, right? Because Joe Kaplan serves the ball, he gets up, he gets ready to serve, and I get up and I stand at the long line and I stand this way, away from him, and I count to about 7. And then I turn around, and then I get set. Because I'm allowed 10 seconds to get ready, right? And that's my time. Once the ref calls the score, he's allowed another 10 seconds. So the 10-second rule is a very important rule for referees to enforce. There are certain players that like to take advantage of that rule. The 10-second rule is time for you to take a wipe, do what you need to do. I had a disagreement, and a lot of guys think that, can I take a drink during the 10-second in between plays without calling a timeout? My interpretation is that you can, but you can't leave the court to go take a drink, right? When I get ready to play a game, I get my towel, I put it on the fence behind me, I put my drink, I put whatever I think I need for my match there that I need to use in my 10 seconds so I don't have to waste the timeout to be ready to play, right? There are players that are notorious, and at Coney Island, they leave their towel, it's over, they got to climb through 7 chairs. No, it's right here. I tell the players before the game, as my referee pre-match duties, Have your towels handy. I'm not giving you all of this time in the world to delay the game. Give yourself almost an extra timeout. And again, that goes to knowing the players, right? Some of the players are going to try to take advantage of that. Some players are not as fit as other players, and they start kicking the ball all over. They do whatever they can do. I'll never forget, I had a match at the Nationals, and Andy Russo was playing a gentleman, and the guy smoking in between games, right? And then you could see he was going to die. He literally kicked the ball like into the other court. And I got to give him a penalty, right? I'm giving him a fault. You do it again, I'm calling it down. So these rules, again, these are some of the rules that we're going over, are super important to control the match. And as the referee, that's your job. And again, being calm, being collective, discussing. One of the things that I love to do is, and we talked about this at the very beginning, right? The ref is supposed to make the call. But we don't do that, right? And a lot of time the player makes the call, and there's a rule that is put in the rules, which is distraction avoidable, which allows players to make a call subject to penalty if they're wrong. So knowing the rules, right? So when a player makes a call and the referee is is not making the call, it's important that me as the referee know that my players, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. You can't appeal a block call, right? And that's because the referee is supposed to be making that call. However, when I hear a player call block, almost always, I know it's a block or I know it's not a block. I know what my call is. I look at my linesmen to try to get their opinion. Was it a block? Was it not a block? So that the player doesn't start saying, can I appeal that call? Larry doesn't like to do that, right? I like to do that. That's the format. That's the way that I referee. It's acceptable. There's nothing in the rule that says it's not acceptable, right? And when I'm the chief of referees, I tell Thomas, that he should, make sure to use his referees. It's a suggestion that I have in order to facilitate a cool, calm, fair, avoid any arguments from the players. Check with your sidelinesmen just to say, block. I see it as a block. You, carry on. The format of the game, and we're trying to change this, the USHA hates it. I hate it. If you ever watch me on a line, right, when I'm on the short line, and there's an appeal, right? And they appealed that call, and the guy goes, and he goes to the other one. I'm like, no, I disagree, because it's not, there's nothing secret about it, right? And the players should know who says what. I guess in the past, maybe somebody would get punched in the mouth afterwards. I don't know. They were scared, but has anyone seen the green and red thumbs that I have? Right? I'm trying to implement those. But as a referee, when you're refereeing, if you could remember to not do that and tell them, listen, the proper way that a referee presents the appeal to his linesman goes like this. Short, player says, I appeal. And I say to my linesman, the call was short, the play was appealed. Do you agree or disagree with my call? And the linesmen are supposed to put their thumb up if they agree with the call, and the thumb down if they disagree with the call. It's very professional. And if everybody wants to be professional and they want a professional referee, this is the process that we need to move towards. Not this secret nonsense that goes around. And again, Tom Sove, I'm doing this for you, right? Tom Sove is the head of the game committee, and he's very passionate about the rules. He knows the rules very well, as I try to go back and forth with him. And again, as I said before, there are reasons that all of these rules were made. In recent times, right, we've come up with rules for bleeding. Somebody mentioned it before. I think Mike wanted to know a bloodborne pathogen, right? You can't play if you're bleeding, and if it's on your jersey, you have to change it. Why? Safety, 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 right? Now we have concussion protocol, and my challenge to myself is I'm going to take a course so that I can tell if somebody gets a concussion, right? Because I was just at the four-wall World Championships in Ireland, right? And this kid hit his head on the wall. The game was intense. I didn't know what to do. Like, he wanted to play, he wanted to play. If it was up to me, just from looking at him, I wasn't letting him play, right? They had a medic at least there that came, gave him concussion protocol, and he was okay to play. It wasn't on me. If I'm certified, right, as a ref or as a tournament director, it's important for me to know, unless we have maybe Sully there, right? Sully's an EMT, and we have some. But concussion protocol was implemented in the rules recently, right? Because rules change. Because rules change in all these other sports, we have to change too. Nobody woke up and said, let me be a pain in the neck and put this in. Football, right? Guy can get hit on the head with a feather, and they take him into the blue, the blue tent to see if he has a concussion. Cramp. Is a cramp an injury? Cramp is not an injury. And I'm going to tell you, and again, this goes back to the rules, right? So this is a basis for the foundation of the rules that you are using for any event. This is it. You can modify these if you want. You could modify the scoring. You could modify the number of timeouts based on the length of the game. Anybody here participate in the Buddha? Right. Carlos did the greatest thing, and I try to do this at my events. This is the rules, except these are the edits and the modifications to the rules, right? You're not getting 3 appeals. You're not getting 3 unsuccessful appeals, because that's a rule. You're only getting 2 appeals. We have 110 teams. We have time constraints. That's it. He highlights the rules that players don't know. Skid ball, right? What's another rule that the USHA implements is, anybody familiar with this? Probably not. And I'm hoping that all of the organizations will start implementing more of these rules, is when you're serving, and we're going to talk about the screen on the serve, right? And you create a screen on the serve. Is there a penalty? It's a half a short, right? In the Nationals, we always do it. Why do we do it? If we don't have that penalty, I could sit up there and do that 1,000 times, and the game will never finish, right? So there has to be some penalty on a screen on the serve. Now, those tournament directors that don't use this or haven't used it, that implement that rule, the right thing to do for the fairness is to present it to all the players and put it on the list, right? So going back to cramp, right? It is not an injury. And knowing the rules as a player and as a referee can change the outcome of the event. And I have an example of that. And I don't know if anybody remembers the King of the Courts when Tavo was playing Timbo, right? And Timbo hurt his thumb, right? And Timbo took a 15-minute timeout, and Tavo went, and then Timbo got another injury, right? In a game, in a match, you get 15 minutes total timeout. That's it. You don't get 15 minutes for each injury, right? Tavo didn't know the rule. The ref thought it was for each injury. Timbo rallied back from the agony he was in. It was at the end of the game and won the game, and Tavo lost. And I had that discussion with Tavo at the ICHA dinner the other night, right? Because he came, he accepted an award, great guy, and I explained the rules to him on that. And I just said, I never got a chance to speak to you about this, and I know you're the best player out there, and I know he's very friendly, right? And he'd rather give himself the short end of the stick sometimes. So sometimes, like my employees tell me, and they say, we got to save those players from themselves, right? As a referee, if we know the rules. Maybe they don't want to argue the rules, but if you're a player that wants to implement the rules to make sure that you're not at a disadvantage, that's your job. And how do you do that? You read the rules, you know the rules, you watch Phil's and Johnny's videos, right? Because they're coming out with more and more of them, and I love them. So there are different rules in 3-wall and 4-wall, right? This is really a 1-wall clinic, and I don't like the rules in 3-wall and 4-wall. 3-wall and 4-wall, when you have when you cause a block, this is another rule, right, that's different, and you get back up to serve, you're supposed to have a short, right? It's a penalty. Everyone's familiar with that rule, right? And they're starting to use that in some of the events because why? And it really comes into play in singles, right? More so than doubles when you're talking about 1-wall. But who wants to play Ray Lopez back in the day? He causes a block, maybe on purpose, and he gets back up there and he could ace you with 2 serves. It's not fair. It's just not fair. And in 3-wall and 4-wall, the crotch serve, there are some guys that are so good at it, but when they cause a block, they don't have that rule. So I've been presenting it for a couple of years now, and I understand the frustration with some 1-wallers, like, oh, this rule doesn't make sense. And I say that to the board, I say it to the game committee, and they're like, no. Little by little, the 3-wallers and the 4-wallers, as I'm discussing it with them around the country, they're like, that makes sense. I don't want Dan Zimmett getting up in a 3-wall game against me. Don't ever call a block on him. That's what I tell the ref. I don't want to block if I'm playing doubles against him because he's going to crack me out on the next serve or he's going to have 2 chances to do so. So rules can be changed, right? Knowing those distinctive rules, those are some of the ones that I kind of mentioned that differentiate the way park play was played, right? The half a short, the block on the block, you get back up with a serve. We talked about appealable calls. I mentioned this before, and I say this again in my pre-games duties, right? Code of conduct, right? Anybody watch golf? You watch golf? No, anybody? When the golfers are out there, right, on the tour, or forget the tour, when I'm playing golf with a buddy, right, and he's going, and he's in the bush, oh, I found my ball, I got it. Like, well, I'm like, I don't think that's even where your ball was, right? You know, he has a code of conduct. He has to worry about himself, whether that's really his ball, right? In handball, players are supposed to self-enforce, right? If you don't pick up the ball and you know it's 2 bounces, you're supposed to stop, right? I don't know if anybody knows this, but if you hit the ball with your wrist, it's not a good shot. It's a wrist ball and you're supposed to stop, right? Do players do it? The guys I play with do it, right? I play with a community that we play 4-wall, we play 3-wall. Here, Mike will tell you, bigger Mike, right? It's like, you know, if the ball skims your pants, you got to say something. It's not an easy task. Happened to me in the Nationals on game point, and I had to call myself out. Didn't want to do it. I felt better when I went home. Some people will sleep just fine anyway, right? But I bring it up to say that these are in here, right? And if we want to get to a level of, of more professionalism, we will apply these rules more evenly across the board, right? And again, the referee knows, right? So when I'm playing, and this is where it goes back to knowing your player, right? Anybody see me play? I spend more time on the floor than standing up, right? I'm diving. When I say I pick it up, the refs, if they thought I got it on 2, they're going to give me the benefit of the doubt. They might replay it if they call down because they know that I'm calling myself out if I don't get it, right? And so the rapport between the players and the referee and understanding, knowing who is truthful and who may get a blue dot on their head when they're telling you the answer. You guys know about the blue dot, right? So I tell my daughter when she's lying, I go, yeah, I see that blue dot on your head. She's like, what? No, right? So code of conduct is key, and I know everybody here will always self-enforce, but it's, again, part of your pre-match duties. Ask the players, guys, do me a favor, right? When you travel around the country, around the world, right, this is now the accepted rule book of the World Handball Council. It's used in Ireland as the basis, 4 corners, but when we go to their tournaments, they will have some amendments, the same that Carlos did, which is fine. One of the rules that we talked about before, and I want to bring it up because the wording, I want to explain to you how important the wording is and the details that go into the wording is when a guy hits a lob shot or hits a passing shot and someone's behind him, and we'll go over an example later, or alongside, almost alongside, but you're not sure where, they have to get out of the way, right? And the words that the rule book uses says, it's the duty of the player furthest from the wall. It doesn't say how much behind, right? And I see some of these plays where the guy's foot is just behind him, blocking him out, where he's going to trip him if he goes backwards. But he was further from the wall with that foot. And why do they do that? Safety, it's so dangerous. Why even on a lob shot does that guy have to get out of the way? Because if the ball's hit over my head, I may not know what's behind me. I'm turning around and going full speed. It's dangerous, right? So the wording of the rules, the implementation of the rules and understanding them are there for a reason. So if you are so inclined and you go back and you read the rules, try to get a feel for the sometimes may, must, might, duty. All of these words were chosen very carefully. This wasn't some random act of, genius, right? This was a well thought out process that continues to go on. And is it 100% the best it could be? No, not even close, right? That's why I welcome the input from everybody in the handball community. But nobody's as crazy as me and Carlos and Larry that reads the rules on the way and says, hey, let's talk about this, right? But it's awesome that we now have some video guys that really are getting involved and can help us because visually, to me, that's the best. Let's see. So one of the rules, right, and this is this was my favorite. And again, I'm going over some of these newer rules too, not going to go over all the rules. I'm talking about the game and the flow, but some of these rules that we've heard that when you hear them next time, you're going to be like, wait a minute, right? So rule 4.33, wrong score announced, right? How many times, right? The wrong score is announced, nobody says anything, the play happens, right? And then the guy that lost the point is like, oh, but you announced the score wrong. Everything that just happened shouldn't count, right? So that was going on and on forever and ever. So this is a good example of black and white. This is what happens when it happens. And the rule says, if it is determined the wrong score has been announced by the referee before the serve has become a legal serve, the score shall be corrected and the serve shall be replayed. Any other prior rallies shall not be affected. So what does that mean? The only way to stop that is hold it, you call the score wrong. And as a player, right, you should know the score. As a player, if you get it wrong and you thought the score was called wrong, you're going to get a penalty. You're going to be down because you're going to be talking during the rally, right?
Well, it would be before the rally.
Well, I'm saying, once he serves the ball, right, then the ball bounces. Now it's a rally, right? Now it's a rally. So as soon as it becomes a legal serve. But, again, there are...
So, if you were in the middle of the rally, you could stop it and saying if you're right.
Yes, yes, because that's a distraction too, right? So, in other words, the score becomes a legal, it becomes a legal serve, right? And I'm now making a call. I'm saying you called the score wrong, hold it. Now it's either I'm right or I'm wrong, right? If before it becomes a legal serve and it bounces, I stop the play, right? As the ref calls the score, the guy's getting ready and he's like, hold it. It's not a legal serve yet, right? Before the ball bounces is the legal serve. Once it bounces, now I can get penalized for it, right? And so, because in my mind, right, and I've had this discussion, I was part of this, because we had to implement it, because there was nothing in here that talked about it. Everybody said, oh no, you have to replay it. Now we know what the rule is, right? But when the score was called wrong, I'm scratching my head. I'm not really focused on the volley anymore, because I'm like, did he call the score? He called the score wrong. But now, am I right or am I wrong? I have to make that decision. If the ball's in play, I can stop it, right? And what it says is, right, is talking on the rally is a request to the referee for concurrence. Am I right or am I wrong, right? So it goes to, that's where you talk about applying to rules.
So what if what if I make the call that it's a wrong score before, let's say, you serve, and you serve it anyways?
No, it's too bad. You talked, it's done.
But it's before the serve.
Right, say that again.
If Justin's repping,
John,
he calls the score.
right,
I say it's the wrong score, but then you serve after I say it.
right.
Is it an over? Or am I
It'll be an over. You're stopping the play. It was before it became even though you're wrong. Right? Even though you're wrong, hold it. The score's wrong, right? It says before, right? Now there's more room for interpretation, I believe, here, where it doesn't exactly spell that out, right? We tried to spell that out with saying before it became illegal serve, so that's how I interpret it. Now, if you're tired and you start doing that over and over and over and over again, I'm going to say the next time you're wrong, you're out, right? You know what I'm saying?
I just want you to say it because
Yes.
there's going to be certain players that know the score is right and then serve it anyway and say, "What? He made it back anyway."
Right, but and again, that goes back to code of conduct, right? You ever watch tennis, right? Tennis, they're not serving the ball if the guy is not ready, right? And that's how they grew up, is like, let me get over on my opponent as best I can, even if it's unfair. You're not supposed to be unfair. So as a ref, I'm doing fairness, right? And so I'm going to call it based on fairness. And as a ref, I'm going to say I'm doing it over because I'm the ref, and I could change my call, right? And I can call a dead ball hinder because I want to call it, because I make mistakes sometimes. And my players, or either player, should not be affected because, and I'll say, I messed up. Sorry to the guy who would have benefited, but I'm not going to have the other guy suffer as a good referee. I'm going to, listen, again, we were talking about refereeing. You're watching football, they're getting instant replays wrong. What was that play the other day in the end zone? They got the safety and he got the face mask, a blatant thing. Everybody out there, too, has to remember, right? We're just handball players, and nobody's getting paid for this. I don't know what level that some of these guys think that they're going to get out there, right? The beauty is that there's a group of 15 people here that want to get a little bit better, and each person should want to improve. New Jersey ran a great clinic. We all want to get better. But until people are getting paid a wage that they can be an earner, and they would lose their job for it, it's going to be what it's going to be, and we have to remember that. And those of us here that are here that that portray to the community, and I think Carlos has done it, I've done it, Larry's done it, Filt has done it, Glenn's done it, these guys that are coming and reffing all these games, the players are starting to realize, well, he may not be the best referee, or he may make mistakes, but he certainly isn't in wake up this morning and said, I want this guy to win over him, so if I got that game, I'm going to screw him out, right? So the beauty of the handball also and the evolution, Phil now has implemented instant replay. that we can use. We don't have it in the rules yet, but guess where it's going to be soon, right? The WPH allows like 1 instant replay. Has to be in here. And if I have an event and you're at the event and we don't have it in here, on my scorecard it's going to say anyone on the show court is going to get 1 instant replay, because I can do that, right? And that's the right thing to do. So, any questions? I know you want to, but we're going to do one. Go ahead.
What is a block? First of all, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for
Wait, left to 2? Did you call me out left to 2?
absolutely not.
I think you did, but okay, I remember.
You gotta say this. Because we almost have the same age. So what is a block? Because, you know, that's one of the hardest things in when I'm playing or even refereeing. I try not to ref ever because I don't have the character for it. But suppose that, you know, we all flinch, we all humans. And sometimes you just might go like this and the other player sees that as a block. So what's the rules when it's a block?
So it's judgment, and I'm not going to get too detailed, and we're going to go over some examples later. But if the referee thinks it affected your chance, the receiver's chance at playing the ball, it's a block, right? Because the rule, and I'll read again the wording, right? What is a block, right? It says that in one wall, a block is the essence of the one wall game, and it says after his player has played the ball, you're standing perfectly still. That's the wording. That, you know, a flinch isn't perfectly still, but still, did it affect the play, right? That's how it is. So, me, I'm taking it right. The flinch, I'm still giving it to him, because the reason that you flinched is because you thought the ball was going to hit you. That's your fault, right?
We go back to what you said before about know your ref.
Yeah.
Because not every ref is going to give you a flinch.
Right, and not everyone. So, and here's another one, right? To go back to that, because this is good, right? And I've seen Larry do it lately, and he's the one that's doing that. And the ball goes under the guy's legs, and the guy will go like this, and Larry doesn't think it affected him. He's like, I'm not giving you that block, but he's consistent with it. So know it, right? Know that that's the way he calls. In football, there are referees that allow a lot more tugging and pulling. It's the same concept.
Last one.
Uh-huh.
Suppose that you're swinging and, you know, I'm an older player, so I can't stop on a dime limit.
Right, uh-huh.
So if I swing and that momentum still carries me, there's people that would call that a blocks, but I'm just taking my swing and I'm trying to stop as the best I can, as quick as I can.
If you're playing with, so it happened to me in the Buddha, right? I was playing against Cadence, right? And Danielle Daskalakis makes a lot of fun of me because I take a shot and sometimes I take 2 or 3 extra steps because I'm old in my knee and my hip, right? And so I was playing Cadence and I hit a shot, right? And I hit a shot in the corner and I took 2 extra steps and he's coming and he didn't get it. I said, I'll be out for that if you want, because just because I'm old, the rules still have to apply. Kadeem, feeling bad for me, said, no, it's no problem, go ahead. But you have to know, like, if you really affected him, then it's got to be a block, and it could be an avoidable just because you can't stop. Again, how intense is the game? Who's the ref, right? Who you're playing against? Some guys are going to say, okay, but you have to know yourself that whatever call comes, I kind of got to take it because I was supposed to stop. You can't get I know, because I can't stop. Right? I'm in the same boat as you, right? It's like, really, and it is funny because I'll just like, I'll do 3 extra steps and I'm just like, I'm out. Forget it, I'm sorry, right?
It goes back to code of conduct.
What?
It goes
Yeah,
back to code of conduct.
self-enforcing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know you're in the wrong, as a player, you have a responsibility to say, I'm out. Not, I'm over my back. Intent is, you know, a factor, and it is. Whether you meant to do something or not, if you're out, you're out. That's it. A lot of people won't take that responsibility.
Can we talk for a second about why you can't appeal blocks? Because you said earlier that the reason you can't appeal blocks is because it's supposed to be a call reserved for the referee.
Uh-huh.
But when we play big ball, one wall, players make the calls.
Right.
And when you make a call, no matter what it is, the play stops. So if I were to call blocks on someone, let's say they did move, in fact,
Uh-huh.
but the referee didn't quite see it.
Uh-huh.
And the referee is going to stand by their call that your opponent didn't move, so you're out for making a bad call. Why shouldn't a player be allowed to then appeal that so that the ref can ask the side refs? Because maybe both of them saw that there was in fact movement, but the main ref is wrong.
So great question, because I agree with you, right? I brought it up and said that, but the ruling is like only in squash. It's the only other sport that a player makes the call. And handball's kind of similar, right, to squash, if you're asking me. But it's something that can be revisited, right? Which is why I also said at the beginning that when a block is called, I go to my refs right away, because I know the player can't appeal it, and I think that's fair, right? But Larry doesn't like it because the player is not supposed to make the call, so he's going to make the call as he sees it. So it's a little difference in process, but I agree. So write that up to me, and I'll bring it up again, right? And I'll say, listen, it's coming out. Why? Because, again, I think that if the player moved, the player moved. And it's fairness. And that's why, because I may not have seen it, because I don't, and players don't, oh, he moved around, he got a better position on me, but I'm watching the game over here, and I didn't actually see it, everything that's going on. Again, which is sometimes, or most times, I'll ask my linesmen, watch the movement on your side to make sure they're moving only when they're allowed. But that's a great question, and I do agree with you. And so you want to send me, I'll bring it up to the game committee again, and they've shot it down, they might shoot it down again. But in my tournaments, I'm telling and asking my refs to please confer with your linesmen on any block call so that the players get the fairest call possible.
I think that it makes the most sense when you use the interpretation of the rules that a block doesn't, or a call doesn't stop the play, because you'll be in like a 30-hit rally. On the 12th hit, somebody calls blocks, but they play it out. And then the guy loses the play, and he's like, oh, I want to appeal the 17 shots ago I called a block. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
But if we're going to play where a call stops the play right then and there, I think you should be able to appeal it in that moment.
Yeah, and again, like I said,
I'm very much in favor of any call stops the play all the time.
well, most of the organizations are doing that. I know you're shaking your head, you don't like it, but let me.
It kills such a good volley and great time in the moment.
But
you get a lot of people that just want to say blocks because they don't think they're going to want to get the shot. Okay? So when people they turn around and do that, and I understand that's one of the reasons why I said, when you make a call that it stops the play.
But they're going to do that, then they're out. So what's the difference? You can't make a phantom block call to protect yourself. It's like, so there has to be a penalty. Like, and I get games are being played, but there are games, and this is why most of the community has now accepted the play stops. I mean, sometimes at Zariga they don't, and Izzy, I love you, but we'll try to get all on the same page. And Eyeguards, right? Gotta wear Eyeguards. But
That right there should have a real problem for a lot of people who don't wear glasses and wear eyeguards because, besides obstructing their view, they just don't feel like comfortable about it.
when a guy goes to play baseball and a kid wants, go ahead. Wear Eyeguards. There's like, you want to play, you want to be professional, you want to go. The guys, when they go to Europe, they don't care. If the guys travel over, they're playing, those are the rules. They just want to complain here. They want to complain here. You want to play in a tournament, wear Eyeguards. There's not even, there's no ifs, ands, or buts, right? It's the kid's playing baseball. The pitcher gets hit in the chest, the kid dies. All players now have to wear a protective thing in the chest, right? Players have lost their eyes playing handball. You haven't seen it, but maybe in person, but I've seen it, right? And as a tournament director for the United States Handball Association, which is we have liability and we have insurance. So I don't care that they don't want to wear Eyeguards. Don't play, right? I mean, I got guys, oh, I would beat you if I wasn't wearing Eyeguards. Oh, my, wah, 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 wah. Wear Eyeguards. And I get it, like you haven't used it, but everyone's talking about professionalism and increasing everything. So just do it and practice with it. I never don't play without Eyeguards, ever.
Yeah, in regards to when you said if you go to your refs to
Concur. On an appeal or on?
Let's say on an appeal, right? Let's say the ball was called short by the short line, but then all the other refs say it was good, right? So obviously it was a mistake on the short line part. But how many times is that ref allowed to make that mistake before it's like, before a player's like, you know, they made that mistake much too many times. I kind of want someone else on that line.
So, say that again. Repeat the question for this. So, the question was from Mike is the short lineman called short. There's an appeal and he's wrong. The short lineman's making a lot of mistakes on the short line. How many times is he allowed to make that mistake? Well, there's nothing in the rules that says he can't make it an unlimited amount of times, right? As the referee, I may want to remove him myself before the players even get and ask him, put him on a different line, get him out of the game. You know, I don't know if he was drinking too many nutcrackers or, you know, whatever. But, you know, the referee should do that. And then, again, the players, right, can request him to be removed. If he's wrong,
Can you go into that? How to, when or when you can't change a ref? Because I think a lot of people think that if you're a top player, you can't get a referee change without any body, you know.
so the reality is that officially, that everyone on the court has to agree to change the ref, right? As a tournament director, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over and I'm gonna watch the game for a little while, right? I'm not just gonna say because it happened before, because it happened to you, right? They wanted, I wanted to change it. I'm like, I can't change it because I'm making you happy now and I'm pissing off the other team who's like, no, I wanna keep it. So I'm gonna come, and I did that, right? I'm gonna come and I'm gonna watch the game. And then I may change it based on what I see, or I'll be there for a source of either appeal, concurrence, to make sure that it's going. If the ref's really bad and the players are like, you know, sometimes what's that? Sometimes players, they really don't like each other, or they're in a way against each other just in that game. We know they're gonna go out and hang out later for the most part, but it's like, I wanna screw them over, so I'm not gonna agree to change the ref. But sometimes everyone's in concurrence and they're gonna do it. But so the exact rule is everybody has to agree. The tournament director should always come over and get involved and watch. I know Carlos does the same thing, right? We're gonna go there and we'll change it if necessary. And a lot of times what we'll even do is we'll take the game over. Now you're just gonna be, but again, you know.
In relationship to getting DQ, can you walk me through the process, because there's some things that, you know, I seen it happen where like it just completely out of line. So you as a ref, can you kind of like walk us through the process of, you know, warning, you know, default until the player is actually disqualified?
So the book policy is 3 technicals and you're out. A technical, you don't have to give any warnings. You can give a warning, right? Hey, listen, I'm gonna start calling technicals, because most refs don't always call technicals. They also don't call avoidables, right? But it's in here, right? And so, what? For the match, it's 3 technicals for the match if it's a match. We don't do matches here, so really, we do in the small ball nationals. That's about it. But so, I may give you a warning. Oh, well, you're getting aggressive. I'm going to watch the game. Then I'm going to issue a technical. You're going to get a point taken away, right? 1 point. We're going to issue what? Just a point. Just a point taken away. You don't get it down. You're -1, right? Then I'm going to give you another technical. It's another minus point. Wherever it is, you get a 3rd technical. You're DQ'd. You're out. Have a good day. That's that process. We're talking about the king of the courts, right? Where they changed that rule in here and they told everybody, we're not going through the technical process. We're going to give you a warning. We're going to give you a final warning. And everybody had a warning. Everybody was brought together, right? We're going to give you a warning. We're going to give you a second warning, and then you're out. But if it's so egregious, I don't have to give you no warnings, no technicals. I could just DQ you. That's it. Have a good day, right? And it's all in here, right? And again, the referee can change his call, can make a call, fairness, safety, has total control over the match, should never abuse their power. And you know, listen, people abuse their power, right? I had this lady come into my office the other day, she's like, you don't have workers' comp insurance. I'm gonna close you down. And I'm like, well, you didn't even ask me not one question. Like, relax, man. You're in a bad mood today. So you try to talk to them, and as a player, you try to talk to them. As a player, you have to remember when you have the referee, you can never just leave the court and go talk to the desk or to the tournament director. You can ask permission, and if they don't give you permission, you call a timeout, right? Because I had this, right? And I had it with a gentleman that was really causing a rough time at a tournament, no names to be mentioned, and we were explaining a rule to him. He called the timeout. He did this. He had no more timeouts left. We got back on the court. I said, you know, now I took the game over. I said to him, I said, put your Eyeguards on. He says, no, I'll put them on after the serve. I said, this goes back to technicals. A technical for not wearing your Eyeguards, you only get 2 of those, and you're out. You don't get 3, right? So as the referee, it's my job to make sure they're wearing their Eyeguards. And I'm telling him, no, I'm going to do it. Then he goes, no, I need a wipe. I said, you can't have a wipe. We just spent 15 minutes, like now you're delaying the game. And he walked off the court, and then I DQ'd him for walking off the court without permission. I mean, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. At some point, and I implemented, and lost his mind. I'm like, okay, but I kept I knew this was coming, so I prepared myself for the backlash and just breathe. USA.
So, okay, going back to what you said, right, about your linesmen and stuff. Now, you said that you asked your linesmen to look at, and I think this should definitely be implemented, right, if it happens. As a head ref, I'm going to ask my linesmen, look for illegal movement. Because I'm looking here, maybe my linesman. Does the lineman have the ability to call someone out during the volley if they see illegal movement? Because I think that a lot of players will say, oh, he moved illegally, and the ref would be like, well, I didn't see that.
So I'm going to say it depends who's on the line, right? As the referee, I'm going to say, if you're on the line and Alan's on the line, I'm going to say, guys, listen, I'm doing, you could stop play. Then we could discuss it. Hold it. You saw something wrong. You don't have to call Jared. He should be out for this. And then we'll play it. Guys that are not so well-versed and visual, I'm going to confer with them after the play, right? So you as a referee, I think, it doesn't say it in here exactly, right? But I'm trying to promote safety and fairness. Right, and I know that I'm not watching, and so, again.
Something we can implement in the rule book, because I think that if you can, I want to.
Yes, so that wording should be in here then.
Looking at the volley here, and somebody goes in front at the wrong time, and the linesman can see it, but I'm not.
So
and they'll be like, oh well, I think I saw it. It's not whether or not you saw it or not. It's if it happened, then they're out.
Because that is similar to the wording in the rule book for the short line judge who can call 2 bounces, right? Similar, right? So what I'm expecting after this is for you to send something to me about the rule that we discussed about the appeals and appealing a block, and for you to send me a little something saying, hey, come on, I can't do it all, bro. Because if you actually send it to me, email or on Facebook Messenger, I can cut and paste it into a document. And then I'll have 3 things ready. I'll send it to the game committee, and it'll start the discussion. Okay?
I actually have a question, because I've seen this a few times doing what I do, where in tournament, like a player will call timeout, and they'll come back to the court, and their goggles will be on their forehead, and then they'll play like 2-3 rallies. They'll score like 3 points. And then the ref realizes that they're not wearing their goggles. Should you deduct those points?
No.
No?
It's the same as calling the score wrong. It doesn't affect anything that happened previously. If they serve out of order and the ref didn't know, then you go back.
But isn't it?
But the player that is not wearing their goggles is at an advantage because they weren't wearing their goggles for 3 points.
It's the referee's fault. It's the referee's fault. It's my job. And in the rules it says it. If the referee is doing their job, there will never be a technical for someone not wearing their Eyeguards. So there never should be a technical for not wearing your Eyeguards. Because if I was doing my job, it's my fault. I'm not giving you one because I didn't see you and tell you to put your Eyeguards on. I told the other player to put him on, and he didn't want to put him on. Now, eventually, I didn't call the score. I should have called the score, and then when he stepped on the court, I would have called it technical, right? But you know, it's I don't see it. You as the other player also should be telling the ref, right? He's not wearing his eye guards if you think he's at an advantage. So that's how, you know, I handle it. And it's, again, that's not exactly written, but if I had to go to another rule, it would be just calling the scoring correctly, and it doesn't affect any previous rallies. So I want to finish.
Out of order serve does.
Out of order serve does, yes.
So you would deduct all the points that.
Yeah.
out of order serve.
Yes, it says it. It says it.
Again, as a ref,
You shouldn't go that far.
Right, it shouldn't go that
I don't
far.
think I've ever seen that. Oh, no.
Well, they did it at Zariga, didn't they, with that crazy tournament, right? And it was like,
I've definitely seen like somebody get 3 serves,
yes.
but I've never seen a ref notice that.
But
So-
that's what I'm saying when it comes to, first off, in the rules, you're not allowed to change servers.
no, you can't change
So in
servers.
the actual, in the you can't change. But 9 times out of
The order of serve is consistent throughout the game.
The ball in their hand, the ref will say first server Phil.
Right.
So we're kind of saving you anyway.
You're supposed, and people, the players don't like that. No. It's my job as the referee to announce who's serving. First server, Phil, and if I see the wrong person, don't let them serve. No, it's the first server.
Yeah.
That's the part of the referee's duties, right? Again, it's about fairness. Although in street handball over the years, oh, you didn't serve that. Wait, oh, he's gonna serve. We're talking tournaments now, trying to get to the next level, a little bit, you know, away from the streets. Listen, it's a great game, and it's a street game, and it's a great reality show, handball, and if we can bring a little bit more professionalism to it with the players, doesn't mean we can't have John McEnroe's out there, right? Like, I've learned, and I love Gio, right? I've learned that, you know, depending on what he's saying, when he's saying, that certain players want to yell, yeah, blah, blah, you're allowed to be passionate and intense, right? You're allowed to scream and say, when you start saying things directly at other players and at referees, or when there's always a line, right? And you have to draw that line. So I'm going to try to finish up. I want to read to you because this is one of the most important things, I think, are avoidable hinders, right? Avoidable hinders are the things that you call a player out on. Right, and I'm not going to go into detail with all of them now. Yeah, we're going to have examples, but I want to list them, and then we're going to kind of be done with the ref clinic, and hopefully you got a good sense of, again, this is level 1, right? Level 2 is an online 50-question exam that I could send you a link to do it. I also have a sample I'll show you that's paper and answer. And then you're level 2, right? Chena just did it in about a half an hour. So between this and that, you're a level 2. That's it. Level 3, you have another exam that's a little more difficult. And you also then have to ref and get a couple of referee cards where people will analyze your game, the players, right? And that's tough because you're going to get half the guys that liked you and half that didn't, right? Then to become a level 4, you have to be level 3, and then you have to do 2 singles and 2 doubles, preferably at an open level play, right? And then you become level 4, and level 5, you have to do this, being watched by me, Albert, or Willie should be one soon. We're waiting him to finalize, or Tony Grimm. So we're the only 4 level 5 refs in one wall in the country. And I'm the only one in the world that's a level 5, 4 wall, and 1 wall, and 3 wall. Huh? My wife says I'm unique. I'm unique. No, but again, I love the rules, right? It's like rules are rules, because I had an older brother that he was a rules freak. He carried the rule book everywhere. Everybody knows him. Rookie knows him. Izzy knows. He passed away now, but you know, I learned from him, and I took that because he would cheat on me. So avoidable hinders, right? The most controversial call in refereeing in Ireland. I love them. Nobody called an avoidable. I called one in the game I ref. They're like, huh? I'm like, dude, avoidable is what it says avoidable. You know what it doesn't say? On purpose. I didn't mean it. Yeah, I know. Avoidable means if you did something different, you could have avoided what you just did, taking away an opportunity for your opponent. That's it. You know, listen, you start doing stuff on purpose and you're getting disqualified, right? Dangerous, not safe. But an avoidable just means, it's not telling you did it on purpose. I get it. Sorry, it's an avoidable. You moved this way. You zigged when you should have zagged, right? That's it. So failure to move. That's the first avoidable. You didn't move sufficiently to allow your opponent a shot. That's really a four-wall one, right? But you could talk about, you know, backing up, furthest from the wall, blocking. You move into a position that crowds or blocks your opponent about to return the ball. We see that all the time. Guys getting ready to hit, come in, and you come in behind him, and then he hits you with his backswing, and you're moving in. Happens on the serve a lot, the return of serve, right? You're out. Just stop doing it. And as a ref, I may give a warning. I may give two. It depends who the player is, and I'll tell everybody. But an avoidable is an avoidable. And if you don't call it, someone's going to get hurt. Pushing. What was that? The video, Phil, you had up before. Pushing, right? You can't forcibly push a player to get a shot. He owns that real estate if he's standing still. That's the essence of the game. You can't come in and the ball's coming here and like push him out of the way so you could take your shot. You got to use the real estate area that you still have left. View obstruction, right? Ever heard this? He got up. He got up in my shot. Show me where it says that in the rule book. Don't say that in the rule book anywhere. I can get up anytime I want, as long as it doesn't interfere with a shot. Like I'm on the side of you, I'm getting up, right? Because if you hit it that way, the ball's going out. That's why I hate that wording, right? It's like, no, but he got up. But did he move into the path of the ball? Did he hit you? Did he crowd you? Did he break one of these other rules while he got up, right? So next time somebody says, but he got up, think about the application of that. What does it mean? Because it's nowhere in the rule book, right? Now, getting up in front of somebody's shot and taking their shot away, you're out, right? Getting up alongside or getting out of the way and it doesn't affect the shot, just because he sees you, and that doesn't mean that you're out for that. Distraction, any avoidable distraction or intimidation that would interfere. One of my favorites, just as a quick example, is I'm playing and the ball's coming, I'm going to take a shot, and the guy comes up and goes, you're out. Can't do it. It's unsportsmanlike conduct. It's, you know, everything against code of conduct. So distraction. Distraction also is talking on the shot, right? And so the wording in the rules, I'm just reading you the headlines. Within the rule book, there's a lot of words that go along with these. Finally, stroke interference, anything that doesn't allow a player to take a normal stroke. And it kind of goes into blocking is close to that.
You have an example of that.
Okay, great. Finally, improper equipment. So, if a player's playing, right, and he's got, you know, his phone in his pocket, and his phone comes out on the court, it's an avoidable. It's not handball equipment. What? No, it doesn't have to affect it.
It does have to affect. It does have to affect.
Huh? Not if he's got a phone.
It says the loss of any improperly worn equipment or equipment not required on the court that interferes with the play.
But to me, if it's now on the court, I'm saying it's interfering with the play because it's just like a ball coming on the court. I'm not going to let them play with a phone on the court. No, a hat is not. So, a hat is not if it's improperly worn, right? You could wear a hat. I'm wearing a hat. No, if I'm wearing, so if it happens 2 or 3 times, I'm going to tell you to tighten it up. If your shoe comes off 3 times, I'm going to say the next time you're going to be out.
Right, so that's what I was just going to get at. I don't know if you guys have the clip, but at the Gladiators, there was a volley with Davo and Kadeem. Kadeem zigged when he was supposed to zag and came out of his sneaker.
All right.
Is he out for that?
No. Happened once. Right. I'm not going to check.
He didn't tie
I'm not. Well, he could say I have something. I'm not checking the tightness of it. It happened once. If it happens on a regular piece of equipment, I'm only going to know if it happens like 2. The second time, I'm going to say, yo, if it happens again, you're out, right? Improperly worn equipment, eye guards, right? If the guy's got, you know, his eye guards come off twice, and you got to put a band on it. If it comes off again, you're out, right? Again, it's kind of consistent, a consistent thing. But again, going to your thing, that's an object on the court, right? You're out because it does interfere with the play. If a ball comes on the court, how is that different than a phone coming out and laying on the court? I'm not going to keep play as a referee for safety. I'm not going to let play continue, right? Going on the court with that. What?
I see players playing with headphones, earpieces.
Comes out, you're out. What? You're out. You're out. Because that's not, you know, that's first of all, it's not handball equipment, so even improperly worn doesn't matter, right? And going back to equipment, you got to have access to gloves. Last year, you got to have access to a headband now, right? If it's up to me, and I'm going to keep putting this, I want players to have wristbands. I think they should. You see tennis players, they use it as a wipe. They use it as the sweat from the pit drips down to the hand, right? So that's going to be the one that I'm putting in. So we have 3 rules between us.
You start sending players to the wall so they can wind up wiping their hands off instead of trying to search for that elusive towel.
No, I don't. Kadeem does it. I'm like, dude, get a towel. Yeah. But if he's doing it within his 10 seconds, nothing, I can't tell him he can't go. He can't do it in the lines, right? He used to do it right in the middle of the line. I'm like, now you're going to serve it there, right? It's like, what is it?
With the ball coming on the court, if it's like behind both players, they're not seeing it, it's still like, you stop it?
What?
If the ball's coming on.
No. If there's no safety issue and they don't see it, I'm going to let play go as long as I can and try to get the ball away, right?
With improper safety, like half balls or balls, but it's like way behind them.
Oh, the play, yeah. If they don't see it, they don't do it. But you're always supposed to give the receiving player one last shot to end the rally. And then if it's in a dangerous spot, you stop the play.
Yeah, as a ref, I would try to get that object out the way without, causing too much trouble. So,
All of these things are on ushandball.com, right? And I'll leave them here. Like, there's a guide for handball referees that you could kind of read through. It's an abridged version of what we kind of talked about today. There's the exam is online.
Jared, what would be basically considered talking during a volley? I'm saying you're going for a shot, you're going back and forth. So now I'm playing with Clam, like, Paulie, you get that. So I'm like, I got you covered. And you're like, but he's talking on my shot. I mean, but I'm giving instructions to my partner.
No, but so the rules, it says it in the rules, right? It's really, it should be limited to mine, yours, not like multiple words and sentences. That's not appropriate discussion. And it's clear, right? It's just, you got that, go get, no, mine and yours. Why do you have to say so many words, right? You have to play within the rules, and there's a reason for that because it's pretty distracting, right? I have players that will play, right? And they'll hit the ball and they think it's going out and they're like, oh shit, you're out, bro. Yep. After you hit the ball, you say that because I think you missed. I'm not looking anymore. That's the same reason, and we talked about this before, right? It's like, there's a reason that when I'm playing, me and Paulie are playing Justin and his partner, and Justin hits the ball, and I yell out, but Paulie hits it, right? I made a call that's reserved for a referee, and I said out. Justin stopped playing. He don't know. He stopped playing. He doesn't have to know. He heard out. I'm not supposed to say out, right? So there are particular words that you are allowed and not allowed to say in the course of a volley, and they're spelled out in there. Anything that a referee says, you can't say.
That's what I really don't like.
But liking it personally, but you liking it personally versus what's happened since 1940, the reason why we make this are two different things, because this has happened over and over and over and over again in a tournament, and those people said that the powers that be said, I understand that this team stopped playing because you said out. And then you have players that'll just start saying it. Out, 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 out. And it becomes comedic. It's not even fair anymore. So they had to put a stop to it. And I get it that you don't like it. But I don't like that I can't move the ball in the sand trap and fluff it up on a nice lie.
General distraction that's going on.
Today, Thomas, what you got to remember is if I'm playing against you, as I'm playing with Paul, you play with Jared, and you hit a shot and I say out, and you now have a slight hesitation where you gave up for a split second, you're now at a disadvantage if we play it. You're not prepared for what we're about to hit.
Yeah.
It's not fair to you.
Okay, so who said out? Did you say out or did my partner say
No,
out?
no, he.
That's not working.
You hit the ball, and I go out, but then Paulie hits it.
Back, and I.
And then I say out right back at you.
And-
The minute I say out, you do one of these, right? But then Paulie hits it. Now you're like this. That's not fair to you.
If you or Paulie's partner, you're telling him that it's out and he doesn't believe that it's out and he hits the ball,
Yeah.
okay, that's on me.
No, it's not.
But it's not.
But it's not.
Disadvantage to you.
I understand what you're saying when I in certain spots, but there's times that you think the ball is genuinely going out, okay?
Right.
But he might be in another spot and he's like, no, this shit.
But I don't think you're. Let me explain it a little bit different, right? Out. And I'm this way, and I'm hard of hearing, okay, right? And my wife will tell you, right, a little bit. And I'm this way, and you hit the ball, and I hear out. I don't know who said it. If he says leave it, that's different. Let it go. If he says out, I think the ref made the call. I'm done, and I'm walking back. It's not my job to know who said what. I just have to know what was said. So that's the problem there, right?
He says leave it, he hits it anyway.
That's okay. Not a problem. I don't know why you don't get it.
Not to piggyback off of that. So, people are not allowed to make the calls as you said. Now, is raising your hand in the middle of that volley making a call?
It's distraction if you're in the front.
Right. If the opponent can see it, if he raises his hand and I can see it, he's right in front of me, I'm gonna assume he's making a call.
Yeah, it's a distraction.
Let's say he raises his hand and the ball's right here.
So what happens?
That's almost like it's almost like flagging a ball.
I'm on this side of Paulie, right? And we're both looking this way, but I go this. Or I maybe slightly.
Listen, I would if I'm doing I'm gonna put it back here so he can't see me because I'm at risk. I'm saying I'm at risk. Whatever I do on the court, any call I make, any way I make it, anything, if I'm not doing it within the guidelines, I put myself at risk, right?
I feel like it should be a black and white rule because by putting your hand up, you're circumventing the making a bad call yourself. Yeah. Because you get the safety of like, I can try to make a call, but like not actually.
I agree with you 100%. But right now it's not in the rules. So we have Carlos. That's why I just did this. Look.
What would be the difference between putting your hand up and flagging the ball? If the ball's coming here, and I do this, I'm flagging it, I'm just putting my hand up.
No, but listen. Hold on. Wait. Listen, 1 second. So you're making a call, but the rule is distraction, right? He's always going to hear my voice. Always, right? He may not see my hand, and so I didn't break any rule at that point. But that's the rule, is the distraction.
But let's
So I'm saying it could, as a ref could say, no, you made a call. They could interpret it the way they want.
Only to the players, it should apply well. Like if he thinks that a shot is 2 bounces, rather than saying 2, if he goes like this,
Right.
that's bothering me as a ref. So he should be out, and it wasn't 2 bounces. He should be out for going like this.
I'm not saying I don't agree with you.
Write it out.
That's I'm gonna.
And then people will say like, I didn't make a call. I'm not out. I just did this to bring it to you.
Again, and me as the ref, right? I can make the determination. Did you distract the other players? Did you, Again, right now we don't have it in there, and I agree. So let's get it in there some way or another, whether it's under. And if you read the rule book, right, there are interpretations.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just an interpretation. Not everything is covered. And that's why we have these discussions. That's why I now have 4 items that we're going to. No, but listen, this is important, right?
You're not supposed to let your opponents see that you're making a call. So
But
now
it-
all he did is see me make the call,
But-
and he rolls the ball
but
out.
again, but-
Now he's going to call BS because he's going to say, wait, I rolled the ball out, but he didn't see me make a call.
But they're both right. But he's right is that a player is not supposed to make a call, and he is making a call, right? He's making a call. He's making a call. It's just that he's not. The other guy can't hear it or see it. But the way that Carlos chooses to implement that non-written thing, take care, buddy. You got singles. Is let everybody know how he's going to address it, right? And that's the key, and just be consistent with it until it's in the rule book so that we could see it, right? It's all about fairness, right? And I get it, and I agree with him on that. I agree with you here too, though. You're making a call, you're making a bad call, play stops, so we can easily add that. If a player makes a call, verbal or nonverbal, that's all we have to add in there, verbal or nonverbal. It's a request for concurrence and play stops. That's it. That's as little as we have to do. And so we could verbal and nonverbal.
That's an issue. Like even in Europe, I saw that come up where like
Yeah.
players are behind other players and they're putting their hand up and they're like, "Oh, you got to be out for making a bad call."
Yeah. So.
To me, it's a way of cheating. Like,
Or-
you make a call without making the call.
But I don't know about cheating, but it's a way. I don't think it's cheating. They're trying to stay within the rules, right? The written rules.
Sorry, you can't make a bad call.
But it's not written that way right now. They're saying if you make a call, and now I could say, well, does it say, and it's in the talking on the shot, and I have to read the exact wording, but I think I could probably, as a ref, interpret it as they're making a call, because I don't think it says only vocally, right? But if we add those 2 words, verbal or nonverbal, it changes everything. Mike?
Just here thinking on like, it's not necessarily during play, but let's say like you have someone, your partner is serving, and you see the other team coming up, and you call, and you say up, because I say that to my partner. It's kind of like, there's like, I try to say it while my partner is serving, but should it just not be said at all?
Say it again.
If you say up when you hear people, if we're playing together, you're going to serve. I think we all do it. And you see the back team coming up, and you say up.
You gotta say it before the serve. Say it after you serve, then you're out, right?
So during the swing, is it?
It's real questionable. I don't like it, right? You got to tell your partner. I would tell my partner beforehand. Just watch them. They're coming up all the time, right? You see it. You want to say it. You're putting yourself at risk to say when you're saying it, right?
I think an exception should be made for that instance. I think that should be put in the rules.
Well, that's something. But again, write it up. I don't.
And nobody disagrees with
During the serve.
Yeah, nobody
We
disagrees.
don't really say it like serve. We're like
No, but you'll even say it while the other guy is swinging. But the other guy was never.
Listen, put it in. I don't think that again. Now, and we will never get everything in the rule books to cover every situation. There's another one that we'll talk about later, which is we're not talking about later, but coaching, right? Like I argue if I know the ball is in or barely going to make the wall and it's coming, I tell my partner up, like as in, go get it, instead of saying yours. There are people going to say that that's coaching during the rally and you're out. No. It's coaching. It's coaching, right? Coaching. I'm just saying. But listen, no, these are the important rules, right? What are you?
when we get to level 3,
All right, we'll get to, so anyway, so the rules are there, but that's enough. We don't have to say any more. We're gonna have a video, wait, question. No, okay, good. We have a video thing and we could just talk about whatever rules you wanna talk about now because this was the level 1 clinic. What's up?
I have a question quickly about the situation that there's a cramp. You said it's not an injury. So like, how do you handle that? Someone's like cramping for very long.
No, you use your timeout so you get, or you're out, or stand on the court or forfeit.
Now,
Yeah.
knowing the rules,
No, let's see how crazy it
knowing
is.
the rules, you're cramping. Oh, my knee. My knee and hurt my knee.
Yeah, but that goes to code of conduct. You don't want to be a liar.
Well, no, you're 100%. 100. Listen, guys will do it.
But if you say,
My knee. You can't. Don't do this. My knee. My knee.
Listen.